welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Bianca and I'm here with my reading journal and some books, which means it's time for another wrap up.
1, 2, 3, funk it!
I've read 4 books this month. I read 3 of them physical and 1 digital, and most of them were 4 stars, but let's start in the beginning. The first book I read was The Moon by k.tolnoe, and it's a poetry collection about the moon, kind of. And I gave it 3 stars because it wasn't that great. Like, it wasn't bad, it was very repetitive in my opinion. There were a lot of words that were used over and over again. Even sometimes poems were pretty similar. And it's also a book series of 4 books, I believe. And it's also published through Amazon, and I've realized I probably don't like poetry as much that was only published on Amazon, not only because of the poetry itself, but also because I don't like buying from Amazon, and most of these aren't available otherwise. So I'm not gonna continue in the series because I didn't like this book enough, and I also don't like Amazon enough. But I will read you some of my favorite quotes. First up, more than people and places, I miss moments. Second, when I'm happy, I forget to write. And then the third one actually is a longer one, but I've just written down a smaller passage, but I'm trying to find the whole thing to read it to you. There we have it. What I write down doesn't necessarily reflect what I'm going through, for the words may be a mirror of my soul, but my mind is a patchwork of my sparkly musings and my dim surroundings. That's the curse of being a writer. I adopt everyone's feelings and let them live in my skin. The mind breaks and the heart aches, as if my own weren't enough. And as you can see, I only annotated the last part, but overall I like it. There's that book. On to the next one. The next book I read I don't have with me because I actually read it as an ebook on script, and that book was Sheets by Brenna. Thummler, I'm not sure how to say her name. So, it's a graphic novel about a girl and ghosts, but it's not scary or anything, or not scary in a typical sense. I don't know, I can't really tell you that much because the book isn't really that long and I don't want to spoil it to you. It's just very cute. But on one side it's cute, on the other side it's sad, and on the other side it was making me angry because the people were shitty. So that's the description I'm gonna give you. And also I've only read the first one so far, and it's a 3-part 3-book series, I believe. And I kind of feel similar to Heartstopper, because if you only read the first volume of Heartstopper, I don't think you would love it as much, because it's a whole story. And I feel like with this book it's similar. Like, you enjoy the first one, but you can just feel it's not completed, it's not everything. That's also why I only gave it 4 stars. But maybe if I have completed the series, I will go back and give it 5 stars. I don't know yet. So yeah, I gave that book 4 stars. Then the next book I read, I also don't have with me, but I actually read it as a paperback, but it was from my dad and I gave it back to him, so that's why I don't have it. And the book was Murder Farm or The Murder Farm, I'm not sure because I read the German version, which also makes a lot of sense with this book, because this book is based loosely on true events, on a true crime from some time ago, and it took place in Germany, and like the crime or the place it happened was called Hinterkaifeck. So if you want to know more about it, you can Google it. And basically the book talks about the story. It's from different perspectives of people that were on the farm that night. And It's very interesting. The only difference is, like, in the book we get to know who the killer is, or like the author just decided on someone. In real life, there's not really an answer. Like, I think the police and stuff know who it did, but they are not telling the public because it's, you know, it's been a while and they don't wanna put the pressure or like the blame on the relatives that are still alive, and I really understand that. I think it's good that they do it like that, because the relatives can't, like, it's not their fault what happened. They weren't even alive back then, probably. I thought it was a really interesting writing style, because it was, for example, from the perspective of a child, and then it was written in a childish way, and every character had its own kind of speaking, or it was our own kind of writing style. Not sure what I'm saying anymore. But yeah, it was a really not sure, interesting reading experience. I don't know if I would say fun because it was murder, but you know what I mean. And I also gave that book 4 stars. And then last but not least, I read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I liked it, but still I will disappoint some people, I think, because some people are extremely hyped and love this to death, and I'm not one of them. I'm sorry, I'm not one of them. You know, I enjoyed it, but not too much. I'm also not sure if it is because I read it physically, and I've currently heard after I finished that most people enjoyed it as audiobook because it worked so well, because the writing style is a little bit choppy, because it's written as an interview, and that's also one of my complaints. Not really, but because of the interview style, I felt for the characters, but I don't think I felt as much as I would have if it was written like a real story, like a normal story, because through the interview style I always kept my distance and I didn't get too close. Then about the story itself, it's about a band, a girl, and their sudden split up. But I think if you've gotten to the half point, maybe even before, I think it's pretty easy to guess why they split up. Let's just say they're all very complicated people, and they all have a lot of problems. And, you know, with that in mind, I don't think it's too surprising that they split up. So, is that a spoiler? I don't think that's really a spoiler, because you pretty soon get to know that they're all a little messed up. So, there was one plot twist that surprised me, because we learn who the interviewer is. But I don't even think that that's so groundbreaking and interesting, because it doesn't change anything about the story. So I don't know why Taylor made that choice. Like, I don't know. Is there something I'm not getting? Let me know. Also, I'm currently watching the show. I'm on like episode 3, I believe. I did like the show, but then one day I stopped watching, and then I didn't get the feeling that I want to continue. I was just moving on with other things. And I don't know if it is because I just read it, because I don't like the book as much. Maybe I don't like the show as much, I'm not sure. Maybe it is because they're too similar and I'm bored. Maybe it is because I think I actually stopped at a point where there is a change that wasn't in the book. Even though, like, it's not a bad change, it's a sapphic relationship, but it just wasn't in the book. I mean, I wouldn't have been mad if it was in the book, but it wasn't in the book. And it's also a character we didn't get to know that well, in my opinion. Like, she was part of the book, she was part of the interviews, but like, there was the band and Daisy Jones, and then sometimes she was there, most times she wasn't, and she was never with the band, she was just with Daisy. So, I don't know, but there for sure were some nice quotes in there, I will give it that. And Maybe if I finish the show someday, I will appreciate it more. I'm not sure. Maybe I should give it a go as an audiobook, but I don't think it will make that much of a difference because the story is still the same. Like, the story won't change just because I listen to it. So that's all I have to say. That's my March wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next.